As proxy equiproxy forward become a comparison, issues are one som nitosis to practical points. Those fathers that has the opposite managed the one for easy. iProxy.com is the opposite. Managed hardware 100 plus modems in Singapore on real carrier SIMs. These are different categories. Here's which one fits which job. If you already own phones and SIMs in many countries, iProxy.online lets you turn that fleet into proxies. You control the carrier, you control the device. SMP owns the carrier hardware for you. One is BYO, the other is managed. This video helps you pick and find the three things. One, where iProxy.online des totejan di iProxy.tat paiki sapi. For entertinda kakay, for upper fepam de api minko machon carries oven commands. This one is the most pertinent and video pyrovision type. For all we true video pyrovision type for this type the kapi the high average job in promansity for influence and client the fabric speak. Online is genuinely better. 2. Where SMP wins for Singapore work. 3. Pricing math when you include hardware and SIM costs. 2. Main body. For ink body, online is genuinely better. For iProxy.online is a software platform, not a managed proxy service. If you already own phones and SIMs in multiple countries, you can turn those devices into proxy endpoints without buying into anyone else's hardware fleet. Then, for teams running operations in 10 or 15 countries who want to source their own local SIMs, that flexibility is genuinely valuable. You pick the carrier, you control the device, you're not dependent on a provider's hardware being in the right place. Own choice, data pair phone pricing model scales in a particular direction. If you need a large number of concurrent IPs across broad geography and you have the operational capacity to procure and manage physical phones and SIM plans, iProxy can be cheaper per IP than a managed service. The free port trial makes it easy to test the software before committing. For global multi-geo verification, where no single country is dominant, iProxy.online's architecture gives you more control. If you need an IP in a market where no managed provider has hardware, BYO is sometimes the only answer. Where SMP is genuinely better, for SMP runs its own hardware. 100 plus physical modems in Singapore on Singtel, StarHop, M1 and Vivify connections. That's a structural difference from a software platform that requires you to supply your own devices. For teams that don't want to manage phone procurement, SIM contracts, device uptime, and firmware updates across a fleet, the managed model removes a significant operational burden. You get an endpoint, someone else handles the modem. Every IP delivered by SMP resolves to a real Singapore mobile carrier AZNI because it comes from a real Singapore mobile modem. No pooling with data center IPs, no residential tier mixing, no reseller intermediary that might introduce IP ranges from unexpected AZNIs. For the BYO platform, like iProxy, online, AZNI purity is entirely a function of which SIMs the operator chose to insert. If you don't control the SIM procurement, you don't control the AZNI, the SG carrier IP question. Singapore has a small set of meaningful mobile carriers, Singtel, StarHawk, M1, VVV. Each has its own ASN and IP ranges. Applications built for the Singapore market often validate that the connection is coming from inside those ASNs, either explicitly or implicitly through risk scoring. Testing CinePass integrations from a data center IP, a foreign residential pool, or an ASN that does not belong to a Singapore mobile carrier will produce different behavior than a real end user. The same applies to DBS, OCBC, and URB banking apps, which run active device and network fingerprinting. iProxy.online is BYO, so whether it can provide SG carrier IPs at all depends entirely on whether the operator sourced and deployed SG SIMs on SG carrier plans. There is no SG infrastructure that comes with the product. If you're evaluating iProxy.online for SG work, you'd need to either run your own SG phones or find a reseller who has done so. That introduces sourcing, logistics, ongoing management, plus ASN uncertainty unless you verify each SIM's carrier assignment manually. With pricing math at 3 volumes, these are different pricing models, so per comparison is awkward. SMP is managed, you pay for endpoints. iProxy.online charges per phone port monthly, SaaS plus you supply hardware, SIM and data plans separately. When they start to SMP pricing includes hardware maintenance, uptime monitoring, and direct support. iProxy.online pricing does not include device replacement, SIM churning, or the time cost of managing the fleet. At light volumes with no existing infrastructure, iProxy carries higher fixed setup costs. At heavy volumes with phones already deployed, the SaaS fee is competitive with Purge packaging from online to SMP. Opposite, 3 things to do. 1. Audit current session stickiness. In iProxy, you configured persistence at port level on your own device. In SMP, it's at the endpoint. 2. Drop concurrency per IP for the first day or 2 while you watch success rates. 3. Verify ASN on the new endpoint before any SyncPass or banking adjacent tests. Confirm Singtel, StarHope, M1, or Vivify shows up. Version verdict by use case. Use case better fit, Wuzanishich. Multi-country BYO with own SIMs. iProxy.online. You already have phone infrastructure. iProxy.online multi-module managed provider iProxy.online, Singapore Dasher specific, ASIN sensitive, SMP, no appetite to procure SIMs and phones, SMP, SingPass DBS OCBC, RAB merchant, SMP, SingPass DBS OCBC, RAB merchant, SMP, guaranteed Singtel, StarHoop M1, Vivify ASIN, SMP, iProxy.online is a real tool for teams that want full BYO control across many countries. SMP is the right call when you want managed Singapore hardware without running a fleet yourself. If you're doing SEG specific work and the BYO model is more friction than payoff, switch the SEG slice, spin up a 2-hour SMP trial at SingaporeMobileProxy.com to only forward of cried about Proxy.com in only slides that is Singtel, StarHub M1 or Vivify modem, real Singapore IP. On a paid plan, use YT30 for 30% off month 1. Keep iProxy.online for the markets where you want full BYO control. For SEG, the hardware already exists, monitored with carrier ASIN purity on every IP. So if this helped, subscribe. Next video pivots to cloud phones. Cloud phones 1 versus G-Log. Similar BioWire versus managed conversation, but on the device side,